Well, hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Cause is Greater Than I conversation series. My name is Chad Graham, and I have the honor of serving as president of the Herschel Woody Williams Medal of Honor Foundation. Today, we have someone that is so near and dear and special to us. We have Linda Griffin. Linda, good morning.
Good morning, Chad.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. You look great.
Well, as do you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Linda is the Gold Star sister of PFC Bruce Griffin, United States Marine Corps. Today we say his name in honor, gratitude, and remembrance. And Linda, you being a Gold Star sister, and specifically a Gold Star sister of someone who paid that ultimate sacrifice in Quang Nam province during Vietnam, can you tell us about your brother Bruce, and can you tell us something that you would like to share with everyone about him and the relationship that you had and some special things about your brother?
Okay. Bruce was a year and a half older than me, and he was my best friend. And he joined the Marine Corps when he was 17, shy of 18. And he hitchhiked 30 miles from our home to Cincinnati and brought the recruiter back and asked my dad to sign for him to go into the Marine Corps. That stands out to me because his determination. And he ended up being an honor guard in Washington, but then he came home on leave, and we knew it was not due to him to come home on leave. And that's when he said he volunteered for Vietnam. Wow. He was in Vietnam probably 3 days, and he was 18 when he was killed. And he died May 21st, 1966. He was the first one from our high school, and he was the first one from Claremont County that was KIA.
So Linda, and once again, we can't say enough, and we can't say it enough times, and we all need to be mindful of it every day, of that sacrifice your brother made, the sacrifice that you and your family made. And I think it's interesting that you bring up, it sounds like he had the heart of a Marine, even when he was just trying to go enlist.
Exactly. I remember him being in the living room with the recruiter and my dad had served in World War II. So my dad said, well, I really don't want to sign for you. And my brother said, this is really what I want. I'm begging you. So my dad gave in to him, especially after hitchhiking 30 miles and bringing the guy back. And he did enlist then, and he went in on the buddy plan in April of 65, a month before he graduated.
So one thing that we know, Linda, that we want to share with everyone, talking about that determination and the spirit of your brother, you definitely carry that on, and the legacy of your family, the legacy of him, you yourself, a servant on so many levels in the health profession, and then at home and in your community. You are so engaged in serving other Gold Star families and veterans, and quite frankly, serving everybody in your community. One thing that we'd like you to tell us a little bit about is the memorial that you've put in place in honor of your brother and some other who paid the ultimate sacrifice there at Goshen High School. And tell us about the Bruce Griffin Memorial Scholarship, please.
Well, about 10 years ago, I was able to start a memorial scholarship in memory of Bruce. Even though it had been so many years, I didn't want people to forget about him and the sacrifices the other guys had made. My team partner, Scott Kuby, and I, we've been working 6 years together, but the first few years I worked by myself. And I called the school and said, how can I give these scholarships in memory of my brother? And that got the ball rolling. So we've given out over $50,000. And each and every one that gets part of that scholarship or a scholarship, they are part of his legacy. So I was grieving silently and to myself. And then I realized reaching out to others could be a part of his legacy and the other young men that died that were also from our school.
Absolutely. And Linda, with that, you use the term, and I think it's very important, grieving silently. And you have turned that into service through the scholarship and then all of the other great things that you do in your community. Do you feel like that is a part of his legacy and your legacy as a family? Is that service the way that you help to cope with that grief?
Yes, it has a great deal. And even though Bruce is in Camp Nelson in Nicholasville, Kentucky, that's where his burial plot is. He's not there, but that's where his monument, he was buried. We did put in 2018 a large monument in memory of him and the other 5 classmates and friends that were also killed in Vietnam after Bruce. It went in on the 50th anniversary of the last one that was killed, and it's in front of the high school, Goshen High School, where we attended and graduated. And even though he's not there, it helps to recognize the service he gave and the sacrifice, as well as the Gold Star Family Monuments that Woody Williams Foundation puts in. That has been one of the biggest healing factors, even after all these years, because I try to attend all the functions I can and the dedications of the monuments, and it just is a part of the healing process.
That makes our heart very full, Miss Linda.
It's true.
Whenever we get to see you and we get to say your brother's name, we get to say Bruce's name, and you and your family and your granddaughter, that you all are so connected to what we're doing and being a part of that. It's something that we on the foundation side say very often, is to have Gold Star family members engaged and that it's meaningful to you. That's what it's all about, because those monuments belong to you. They belong to the legacy of your brother, and they belong to you as a Gold Star sister and your whole family. And that's whether it's close to your home or it's in Hawaii or it's in New York or Florida or Texas, wherever those are, those belong to you and belong to all Gold Star families. And I think that's something right now, as you mentioned, having that memorial there as high school kids come and go, it keeps it fresh in their mind, and they're seeing your brother's name, they're seeing those other 5 names on that memorial, and they're that becomes a part of the culture of that high school, that becomes a part of the culture of your community, and that's so important. And we can't applaud you enough for everything that you're doing, to make sure that we say those names and we remember them, and also, as you said, to really make sure that we don't forget you and your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family. And that's so important. One thing that we wanted to ask you about today, as we all face this COVID-19 situation and the seriousness of that, and we're all trying to do the best with the challenges we're presented with, and we need to, from our opinion, really draw on that determination and strength that you mentioned that your brother had, that you as a family have. Is there a piece of advice that you would offer to everyone as we are shut in with our families, and something that is unique with your circumstance? Just because COVID-19 happened doesn't mean that you're not a Gold Star family anymore. You're a Gold Star family with your unique needs and challenges, and now you have this. So is there something that you could share with all of us and challenge us and put on our hearts that would maybe help us draw from your strength and your brother's strength?
I am a registered nurse, and I work for a company, Angels for Life. And after the new ruling, they're recommending wearing masks when you go out just for protection. I would recommend that, and don't take it lightly. However, you need to be careful not to cross-contaminate. The gloves are designed for one use only. Don't leave them laying dirty in the parking lot, things like that. And your mask, if they're fabric, make sure they're sanitized each time you wear them out. Another thing is, with all the homeschooling and the people having to have their children at home and doing their lessons at home, I don't see anything in incorporating the Pledge of Allegiance, some of the history that we find so important. This would be the perfect time to instill in our children what patriotism is supposed to be, We were taught that a lot when I was growing up. And also reading the Bible. We have a chance now to instill in our children how important those things are that they may not get when they go to their public schools or their classrooms. So besides having diversion like fun and games and reading books, instill some of that. The Medal of Honor program has talks about patriotism, things like that, and that is extremely important to teach our children now, so they will benefit from it when they're later in their later years. But by all means, wash your hands. If you're sick, don't go out, and don't go out just to browse through the stores that are open. Go as you need something, and that's my advice right now. Just take it seriously.
Absolutely. And Linda, to kind of shed some light on your perspective even further, and I think you bring up a great point. This is an opportunity for us as families to instill strong values and to take
Absolutely.
that chance to have those conversations. Is there a way that non-Gold Star family members, both those military families, those veteran families, those that are not tied to the military, all of us in the general public, from your perspective, what can we do while we are all locked in our houses to best honor you and your brother's legacy? What are some things that we could do that you would challenge us, even from the comforts of our own home? What can we do to best serve you and the legacy of Bruce?
To reach out to any veterans that you may know. There's a lot of veterans that are shut in even before this virus. Check on them, call on them. You can volunteer after this is all over. The VA hospitals are needing volunteers everywhere. There's all kinds of veteran groups. American Legion, the RWB, the Wounded Warriors. We just want to make sure that we are there for others that are going through some of this. The Gold Star family, my parents could have benefited by that a great deal when they were grieving. Of course, it wasn't available. We didn't even know what that was. And my mother, mother and dad didn't ever get over losing Bruce, but it would have diverted and helped with them and their grieving process to make it a little bit easier to know that others were supportive and others were going through the same things. The VFW helped my parents a lot because Dad had been in World War II, and he got a lot of strength from his other vets that had been in the service at the same time. So even if you're not a Gold Star family member, you have veterans in your family, veterans that are friends. Don't ever just not check on them and say, hey, whatever you need, I'm here. I can talk to you. You don't even have to go see them. A phone call would be a lot for many of our veterans.
Absolutely. So, Linda, we appreciate that because I think that's a message that needs carried forward. We spoke with a dear friend of ours, Dee Dee Rodler, Gold Star wife of Greg Rodler, and she mentioned the term virtual volunteer. So we can volunteer even while we're closed in this house. We can call our Gold Star families and check on them. We can make sure to check on all the groups that you mentioned we did have, and we do have veterans that were shut in even before this virus that we're facing came about. So I think those are all wonderful pieces of advice for everybody. We can all still stay plugged in and follow a purpose. Our motto is "The cause is greater than I," words from our founder, Woody Williams. And I know that something that he has pressed upon all of us is that, every day find your purpose and find your mission. And I think we can do that in a virtual sense.
There's always things that we can do. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, ma'am, go ahead.
In November, we've done this for years. The Bruce Griffin scholarship team, Scott Kuby, my partner, and I, we have a free celebration and recognition of the veterans in our area, and it's a quite big event. We have probably at least 30 to 50 veterans that come for a meal, and then we have a drawing and we have speakers. So in November of every year, it's kind of caught on, and people ask, are you going to keep doing that? So once you do something to reach out to our veterans, no matter where they served, they are appreciative of any recognition and a thank you that they can get. So in November, we'll be doing that again, and we hold it locally in Goshen as well. And we get a lot of support from our local businesses like the Goshen Grind and the Skyline. They always contribute to the scholarship fund, and it's just a local community realizing how important our veterans are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that same service and sense of determination that your brother, PFC Bruce Griffin, United States Marine Corps, that legacy lasts in you, Linda, and that's something that we see. We know how humble you are, but we see that, and those around you see that in your community. It shows through in your family. It shows through in all the good work that you're doing. And we want to thank you again for being a part of the Causes Greater Than I conversation series. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a real honor, Chad.
We are honored, and once again, we want to challenge our Gold Star families. If you would like us to read your loved one's name, we're going to start tagging on to the end of each one of these series episodes. We're going to read those names, and you can put those in the comments section when we post this on social media. So we would really ask you, Gold Star families, we'd be honored to say your loved one's name and share something about them. And once again, today we will say in honor, gratitude, and remembrance, PFC Bruce Griffin, United States Marine Corps, and Linda Griffin. We say your name too as a Gold Star family, and we just once again say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. See you guys.
See ya.